Welcome to the People's Advocate Hour with South Florida attorney Joseph Bryan. Listen for the next hour as attorney Joseph Bryan informs you on different legal topics. Whether you are considering bankruptcy or dealing with mortgage or debt issues, Joe can help you. Knowledge is power. Don't fear the unknown. Get answers to your burning legal questions now. So call in and ask attorney Joseph Bryan to answer your questions. 888-565-1470. And now, here's attorney Joseph Bryan.
Well, good day. This is attorney Joseph Bryan of People's Advocate Hour. How you doing today? My name is Joseph Bryan. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at 888-565-1470. As long as the powers that be let the phones ring, we'll be here for you. Or you can follow us on Twitter, or you can give us a little look up on the internet at wwnnradio.com. We're here to answer your questions. If you don't call in, all I get to do is answer questions from the emails that come in, which is also very helpful. I had a person that was contacting me just recently about the situation in the economy. Wanted to know what I thought, what I saw was going on. I see both positive and negative indicia. I'm seeing the prices of houses go up. I'm seeing mortgage starting to be made, except in a very restricted manner. I'm seeing more regulation on the closing process, requiring more and more disclosures and more regulations, obliging the title companies to do more work. I am seeing that the majority of the buyers out there are basically investors, basically because they're getting the properties before they even get MLS'd. Buying them from the REOs, buying them from the property owners, buying them through lawyers who have access to foreclosure property. Right now I'm seeing a big trend in loan modifications that are going through. So if you've been out there trying to do a loan modification, say this time last year, I would say the banks have a different motivation, and not to mention the property, i.e. the promissory note on the mortgage that's attached to the property. Has the property been sold at least one time, or if not two times? There may be a new investor in town, may have a new opinion as to what's good for them, including modifications. I'm seeing an aggressive attempt to do more short sales than have the properties go on the foreclosure at the courthouses. Of course, there's no longer foreclosure sales at the courthouse because they do pretty much online. You put your money in. Got to get, if you want to ever do it, you're going to have to get a few days in advance to put your money in the bank so that you have the right to buy for a certain amount. And once again, that's to do with real estate foreclosure sales. I'm seeing prices go up. I've seen prices go up as much as 8 to 10% in less than 6 months in some neighborhoods. I think it's more desirable neighborhoods, the neighborhoods above 400. What do I see going on? I don't see enough. And I don't think that anybody out there that's driving the cars right now knows that we're not seeing enough. And I really appreciate the White House talking to us about how good the economy is going and how things are improving, because I'd like someone to tell me it's getting better. Because when I look out there, I see that we've got a contracting economy. I see that more and more people aren't getting paid more. The wages are not on the rise, but there's inflation against the things that you buy. And also I'm finding that, we're having a little bit of inflation on food. I'm sure everybody notices when they've gone out there. You used to be able to buy things for $60 or $70 and walk out the door, and all of a sudden it's now $110 for the same stuff or less. I don't know if you've noticed that your coffee containers haven't changed in size, but the amount of fluid ounces that are inside that coffee container have gone down. You go over to the Fruit Loops, you always knew that it was never the same amount of the size of the box because there's always less in there. But now there's even less. You look at the packaging, hasn't gone down in size, but the amounts in there have been reduced in some cases as much as 40 or 50%, causing great profit to the profiteers. Those that are capitalists in this country have found a way to increase their prices without letting it on that the price has gone up substantially. It's a big concern because that's hidden inflation. I'm reading from the ones that were considered fanatical, the ones that claimed that the bubble was going to burst, the ones that nobody wanted to listen to. I remember back in 2005 when I was realizing the bubble was coming. and I didn't expect it to last much longer. I was hearing, you guys are crazy, 2010, 2012, 2015. I already knew in 2005, once there was no longer real buyers buying real estate, I knew that the price of real estate had gone to the bubble, and it was just growing and growing and growing. And all my wholesalers, I told them to drop kick the stuff that they didn't like and stop trying to make all the profit out of everything and discount some things to get rid of it, even though the market wasn't discounting at that moment. And I said, you know, consolidate to stick around. A lot of people didn't listen to me, and I watched people go from $20 to $30 million in holdings down to today $200, $400, $1 million. You know, it's shocking that people should lose so much, and other people should gain with corrupt practices. You know, it's not illegal to do what was done in most cases when it came to the selling of the notes on the secondary market. But the way they were packaged cost several companies many millions of dollars in fines. Doesn't help us who lost all of our life savings, which most people, their life savings is their homestead, their home. You know, they put their money into it, and then when they're old and it's too big of a house, they sell it, take the cash out, buy something smaller, and survived in their golden years based upon the nest egg that they created. Well, that nest egg was ripped out from underneath us back in 2008. It hasn't come back. Prices are back up, but they're not all the way back up. And I'm expecting that once we get past this election, I expect that there'll be a readjustment with the stock market. It's already had a little bit of an earthquake recently, and I expect there'll be several little earthquakes, but based upon years of witnessing the world that we live in, I wouldn't be too shocked if somewhere between September and December of this year we don't see a major shakeup in the pricing of the real estate of the stock market. And the stock market is also fueling the hedge funds buying promissory notes and real estate that are in foreclosure. So they may dry up very quickly. The ones that we don't want to listen to, or let's rephrase it, I listen to them, you guys don't want to hear it, are saying by the fourth quarter 2015 we'll recognize the fact that we're in a recession. And quite candidly, with all the things going on around the world, it affects America. You know, being a patriot, I wish that Lois Lerner would just go ahead and tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God. God knows that it may not be good for certain people. I pray that the White House has not used the IRS for political gain. I pray. It wouldn't shock me. You know, nothing's really shocking me after Tricky Dick. For those who don't remember Tricky Dick, we're talking about Nixon, who was a wonderful president who just didn't abide by the laws and thought that the presidency was more of a kingship, which gave him some sort of idea that he was immune from the laws of the land. And anybody that thinks the presidency is bigger than America isn't an American patriot, but isn't maybe an American citizen. But an American patriot puts the country first, and not their ego, and not, you know, there's a vision of America, and I think there's a change going on right now that may not be best for us. I don't think that the best interests of America are being put forward, and it's kind of frustrating and upsetting, because this is the greatest country in the world, one country that everybody should be proud to live in. You know, I mean, there's people crossing the border at 13 to 17 years old that are coming from Honduras. All they really want is the American dream. You know, and I wish they could get the American dream, but I think that there's a lot of evil in the process of taking people from Honduras to the American border. I think that we're going to have all sorts of difficulties as a consequence of the way which this is being processed. You know, some of the young people are not nice people. Some of the young people are gang members. Some of the young people are coming here for a new opportunity and may be preyed upon by evildoers that already exist here in the United States. Heck, we just had a border patrolman shot while off duty and fishing with his father. And out there fishing, just having a good old time. And a guy who's been thrown out of this country and has been coming back in as if the border doesn't exist, shot and killed an American citizen, an American patriot, an American border patrol. I don't know. I would like that anybody that thinks about it, you know, I think about the American soldiers overseas that are at risk for our way of life. It's upsetting that we didn't protect our general in Afghanistan. We should have protected him at all costs. Even if he didn't want the Angels nearby, they should have been closer. Somebody should have been there to make sure that he did not die. He should have been wearing a flak jacket if that was necessary. Whatever the case may be, is we shouldn't have lost him. And he wasn't there for the worst of mankind. He was there to administrate and educate and facilitate Afghanistan becoming a country that we can be proud of and another democracy versus some sort of religious dictatorship, which the Taliban has in mind. You know, all these things really affect us. You know, the border, Lithuania, Ukraine, what's going on in Moldova. You know, it's a scary thing. Scary thing. Once again, I want to remind you that this is the People's Advocate Hour. If you have any questions, you're welcome to give us a call at 888-565-1470. You can go ahead and email us at the website when you go online. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. If you feel that you don't want to have questions asked on the air, you're welcome to call my office and set up an appointment at 954-320-6940. The People's Advocate is a law firm that gives free consultations. We're here to help you. Actually coming to visit my office is kind of cool because I have the Declaration of Independence on the wall when you first come in. I also have our original Constitution as it was written and signed. You know, it's the sort of thing you would get at the National Archives. And also I have the Bill of Rights, the ones that I pray never get abrogated by our government in any way, shape, or form. But we're at risk. It's always going to be risky. People don't like all the rights that Americans have. Matter of fact, it's some of the rights that we hold dear that is allowing the evildoers and the underminers of our country to take advantage of certain circumstances and really, really cause a hard time. So anyways, let's talk about some other things that are going on. So they found the tapes and everything's gone quiet. So Lois, I think it's a good time for you to come forward and tell us before the tapes tell us all. And what else is going on? Yeah, a lot of conflict in the world. It's all about us. You know, the interesting thing is our news is not so truthful to us. My understanding is that although we brought 2 cases of Ebola into the country to help develop a serum or a antibody to prevent it from going further, we also have several other possible cases all over the nation, at least 3 that at this point in time are not being discussed in the news. So Ebola is coming. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. Let us hope that even though it may be overpriced, that our medical firms, our drug research firms are able to come up with something to protect us, because quite candidly, Ebola is a plague. If and when it comes to the United States, without a good drug, which we don't currently have, people are dying. And all I have to do is, once I'm infective and I'm sick, is sneeze on you, and I get to share it with you, and then you get to go through the same process. And hopefully, we're going to come up with a great antidote that's going to become reasonably priced and available to our people, and we'll be able to stop it before it becomes an outbreak. But it's a serious threat. That's the point. America is not an island unto itself. Once again, this is the People's Advocate Hour, and we'll talk about anything that you want to. The phone number to call in is 888-565-1470. Once again, you can follow us on wwnnradio.com. And if you want to make an appointment for a free consultation at the People's Advocate Group, please give us a call at 954-320-6940, or you can contact us on info@thepeoplesadvocate.com.
Are you losing sleep at night due to your debt situation? Call attorney Joseph Bryan today to sit down for a free consultation to discuss your rights. The People's Advocate is the trade name of the Bryan Law Group. The People's Advocate provides services to individuals and small businesses in bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sales, loan modifications, debt relief, consumer law, and estate planning in the South Florida area. Your initial consultation is free of charge. Proudly serving the South Florida community for over 21 years, Attorney Joseph Bryan will listen to your concerns and discuss options available to you. For more information, please call the People's Advocate at 888-828-9008. That's 888-828-9008. You are listening to the People's Advocate Hour with South Florida attorney Joseph Bryant. He keeps you informed about your rights when it comes to bankruptcy or foreclosure and wants you to be part of his show. Call 888-565-1470 and help him help you get informed. Now, back to our show.
When I'm ready. Okay. Well, thank you for calling back. This is the People's Advocate Hour. 888-565-1470 if you have any questions. I had a quick email coming in, and they're saying, you're all very interesting, Mr. Bryan, but we'd really like for you to bring back that Imad Salem. He's so much more interesting than you. And I really, I respect my listeners, and if they really, really want me to do something, I will do it. And guess what I've done today? I brought Imad back. Say hello today, Imad.
Good evening, Joe. How are you today?
I'm glad to be here. It's good to see you. It's good to see your family who's off camera.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
It's good to be back, and thank you for inviting me again.
Well, a lot of things are happening right now that seem so far away from America. And our conversations that you and I have so often, it's clear that the world that we live in is a small world, and that what happens elsewhere has ultimately a direct effect on America.
That's no doubt of it.
Listen, I've been watching what's going on in the Middle East.
Okay.
And someone said, well, that has nothing to do with it. Let them figure it out. And I said, well, yeah, that's cool, but the United States just opened up $250 million worth of supplies, military supplies to Israel. That affects us in the sense that we may be selling it to them on loan guarantees and stuff like that, but just the same, our product is being used, right?
Correct.
So, anyways, and of course now there's a truce in Gaza, which really means that the Palestinians have stopped receiving a kicking.
You mean Hamas, not the Palestinians?
Well, it's true, though.
There is a difference between Hamas and the Palestinians.
And what is the difference between them?
Well, the difference that Hamas are originally is the military arm to the Muslim Brotherhood.
So really Hamas is just the Muslim Brotherhood?
Undercover.
Under Hamas cover. Okay, but they all wear green.
Exactly.
Okay, you got the Muslim Brotherhood. They all like green, and their little flag is green. Their little headscarf is green.
Hamas is conducting the agenda of the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is conducting the agenda of the Iranian government. And as you know, that we talked about that before, that the Iranian government providing Hamas with weapons, and lately with the long-range missile.
Now, those were built in Gaza?
No, they were built in Sudan by the Iranian government, being smuggled.
In cooperation with Sudan?
That's correct, of course.
Okay.
Sudan is a state sponsoring terrorism, is very known to us as American. And unfortunately, these missiles were smuggled through the tunnels from Egypt.
Now, who in Egypt would let them do that?
That was during the era of the Muslim Brotherhood was in charge, and President Morsi.
Now, he's sitting in jail right now.
He is in prison now, but unfortunately, a lot of these missiles being smuggled through the tunnels into Gaza, and that's what Hamas using now.
Now, would you say the new president, Al-Sisi, right? Al-Sisi?
Correct.
Do you think he's okay with this relationship between Sudan, Gaza, the Sinai, and all that stuff?
No, actually, President Sisi started to demolish these tunnels, and he's not allowing any weapons smuggling from Sudan through Egypt anymore. And he is fighting some of Hamas / Muslim Brotherhood who located in Sinai, because it was a plan that they will start to shoot these missiles from Sinai.
So what you're really saying is that not by choice, but in this particular situation, the enemy of Israel is actually the enemy of Egypt.
That's quite all right. That's quite a right statement, and I agree on it.
Well, that must be, I mean, don't misunderstand me. I would say that right now there's an unusual circumstance that the Israelis find themselves in I guess, in a similar position as the Saudi Arabians, the Egyptians, and I guess the allies of Saudi Arabia are working from a similar page that the Israelis are working from at this time.
Well, unfortunately, Hamas have different agenda than Egypt, than Saudi Arabia, because Hamas is conducting the agenda of Iran and Turkey, and unfortunately Qatar as well. Qatar is being ruled by Tamim bin Hamad.
He doesn't sound like a nice guy.
He's a young prince. He's the crown prince now, took after his father, but he is sponsoring the head of Hamas.
Any relationship to the Saudi royal family at all?
No, he had no relationship.
Totally different line of lineage.
That's
Okay.
correct. That's right. And
You have a picture of him, right?
I have a picture of him. Yes, I think.
A nice picture of him, a nice wearing a keffiyeh. I believe you have it on our database. We can show it there as a nice big picture.
Right. That is.
And he's
that
funding.
crowd.
He's funding the Muslim Brotherhood wherever he can.
He is funding the Muslim Brotherhood, and he is actually sponsoring Mr. Khalid Mish'al.
I saw the pictures of his house. It's a really nice big house, nice
Well,
compound.
This is the Palestinian people's money.
Oh, well, he doesn't see it that way, does he?
Well,
He sees himself
unfortunately,
as the Palestinian people.
well, there is a big difference between, again, the Palestinian people and Hamas. Hamas is conducting a very hidden agenda
Right.
under the flag of Palestine.
Now, they received a lot of money, didn't they?
They did, but all of this money and the cement, they received it to build houses for the Palestinians. They used it to build tunnels
They don't care about
underground.
them. They don't care about them.
They claim that they do care, but unfortunately, the way it shows, they are hurting the Palestinian people. Palestinian people lost their houses in that fight, and that fight was initiated upon orders from Iran.
So it had nothing to do with what the best needs of the people in the Gaza Strip.
I don't think so. I think Hamas is working for Hamas, and Hamas is working for the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood working for Iran.
Now,
and Qatar.
I've seen the pictures, and I've read lots and lots of stuff of what's going on over there. Millions and millions of dollars was siphoned off from the monies that came from all over the world to help the Palestinian people, and they built these beautiful, beautiful $4 or $5 million homes. Did you hear what happened to these nice homes that these Hamas leaders had?
Well, it's all been demolished by the Israeli military.
They knocked out all those lovely haciendas that they had, or should I say palaces that they had built?
But that is a result of the corruption in Hamas, that this money, instead of goes to build schools or hospitals, it goes into building these $1 million homes or build tunnels.
So when these guys come climbing out of their little spider holes from underneath the hospitals and the mosques where they've been hiding, and underneath the kindergartens and the UN buildings that they've been hiding, they're going to come out and find out that their homes aren't there anymore.
No, not anymore. Unfortunately, it's a lot of destruction, and the Palestinian people paying the price.
Now, I want to draw your attention to a cartoon that I found online when I was searching around, and it's kind of funny.
Okay.
Can I get that a little bit bigger for the people that might be watching online? And basically what it is it's Netanyahu sitting across from Hamas, who's got a little young child wrapped in his arms, and the child is wrapped in a what appears to be an explosive belt. And then you've got John Kerry sitting there as the mediator in between them. And it shows a list of demands from Hamas, and the first demand is that death to all Jews. Kill them, all the Jews, that's my first demand. And you've got Mr. Kerry asking Netanyahu whether or not he could meet him halfway. So, I don't know. Do you think
It is not funny.
it is?
not funny.
But quite candidly, do you really see Hamas really wanting to live with the Jews?
Hamas can, well, let me take it back one step, because Hamas is not the Palestinian people.
I do know
The
that.
Palestinian people can live with the state of Israel side by side.
And benefit.
And benefit from their existence and work with each other. They have been working together and living together for hundreds of years.
Right.
And unfortunately, once you get organization like Hamas coming to conduct different agenda, That's when they messed up the relationship between the state of Israel and the Palestinian. Palestinians, they want to live in peace. They wanted to have their own state and their own gun and their own one government. But Hamas don't want that.
Right, well, that's understandable, because Hamas is really the Muslim Brotherhood.
That's correct.
And the Muslim Brotherhood did not want anybody to have any rights in Egypt when they had control there.
Well, the Muslim Brotherhood have very radical, fanatic ideology, doesn't go along with the majority of the Muslim people, and that is why they were taken down after 1 year being in charge of the Egyptian government.
Not to mention they were corrupt.
They are very corrupt, and they dug these tunnels to provide Hamas with these missiles, which Iran is the puppet master
So
behind
Morsi
that.
let this happen.
He did that happen, and that's why he is in prison today, and President Sisi is in charge of the Egyptian government now.
And Sisi represents not a bad thing, unless you listen to the Muslim Brotherhood.
No, President Sisi is a very moderate person. He is very intelligent. He's a ex-military man, and I think he's going to take Egypt into the right path.
He's going to try to bring it into the future,
Correct.
the world that we live in.
That's correct.
And I mean, he's not trying to be disrespectful to the religion. He's just trying to be respectful to the future of the Egyptian people.
He is protecting the Christians who've been abused.
10% of the population, no less.
Absolutely. Who've been abused during the Muslim Brotherhood era when they took over Egypt. And he's giving them rights. And
Let me interrupt you, though, because I understand that you guys are going to the Egyptian government is going to rewrite the constitution. But let's just jump a little bit over here and go to the Caliphate.
yes,
What's it called? ISIS.
ISIS. Yes.
Now,
the Khalafis, or they are,
Muslim Brotherhood again?
they are the same Muslim Brotherhood. And in one of our shows before, we mentioned that it's all one. The Muslim Brotherhood, the Jama'a Islamiyya, the Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, they are all the Muslim Brotherhood, but they have different names.
Now, is the American government supporting ISIS? Is that who's funding them?
Unfortunately, in a way, when the American government was supporting President Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood, that means the American government was supporting ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and so on.
So that was a tactical mistake.
I don't know about tactical mistake or
Philosophical difference?
whatever it was. Unfortunately, it will come back and bite us.
Come
back
on now.
here
I
in
mean,
a-
this is happening over in Iraq, in Syria. This is
Yeah.
happening over in Israel and the Gaza Strip. How's this going to affect America? I mean, come on.
You know, it's like you are telling me that about this Ebola virus been happen in Africa and far from America, and the world is very small now. All what it takes is somebody fly from there and come here, sneeze on you, sneeze on me. We all carry the Ebola, and it's a big problem.
An epidemic.
And it is an epidemic, and ISIS and Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda, they are epidemic. And if we don't build our immune system against these people, eventually it will come back into our homeland. And we suffered from that before.
Now, are we seeing the suffering of it in Europe today, aren't we?
Yeah, we, of course, absolutely.
France?
They are everywhere. From China, Egypt, Sudan, everywhere.
Now, I haven't personally been in London in the recent years to Birmingham or any of the other areas, but my understanding is if you go to Birmingham or you go to some of the more Muslim-dominant neighborhoods,
You have the Muslim Brotherhood.
and you have Sharia law being enforced. If I want to have a
Absolutely.
beer in my hand, I can't do it. If a girl wants to show her skin,
Be harassed.
and chased out of the neighborhood.
Absolutely, and that's what their next goal is, to come to impose this way of life, which sometimes they call it Sharia law, and we discussed the Sharia law in previous
Right,
shows.
their view is a bastardization of the true law,
That's correct.
and this bastardization is offensive to you.
It is offensive for the majority of the Muslim people.
Thank you, from the majority.
For the majority of the Muslim people.
But unfortunately, we listen to and hear more often the radicals. Why?
Because it takes one rotten fish to make the whole market smells bad.
It does.
So it takes one terrorist to blow a bomb in the World Trade Center in 1993 to make all entire Muslim people look bad.
Right.
And that's what I was fighting since the 90s.
And we're still fighting that same war.
And we're going to continue to fight it for the
And the
next
same
decade.
philosophy. That same
Absolutely.
philosophy.
Same ideology.
Is the philosophy of the blind sheikh Abdurrahman and the new president, or what do they call himself, the guy who's in charge of ISIS? He has a name for himself, doesn't he? Is he a sheikh? What is he today?
Well, sheikh, it is just, it's a description. That,
or a head of a family?
No, has nothing to, it's not a rank.
Okay.
But it describes any person who is above 40. But unfortunately, the American people don't understand that.
No way.
They think word sheikh means a rank or a holy man or something. I could be a sheikh. I can call you Sheikh Joe, Brian, since you
I
are
think that was
above.
a cartoon. I'm pretty sure there's a Sheikh Joe. I'm almost positive that's something from the 40s and 50s. There was actually a cartoon strip, Sheikh
Right.
Joe. I'm almost positive. I know there was camels involved, but I don't think it was anything aberrant in behavior. It was just that there was camels in the cartoon.
The word sheikh mean a person who is above 40 and he becomes sheikh. Anybody could be a sheikh.
That's
so
interesting.
It's not a religious word or description.
That's interesting because the Israelis often, when they hear that there's bad news coming to the Temple Mount, that's that place in Jerusalem with the gold mosque,
Yes.
the gold rooftop mosque. I believe it's called El Sharif or
Al Aqsa, Al Masjid Al Aqsa,
Al Aqsa.
Al Masjid Al Aqsa,
Yeah.
Al Aqsa Mosque.
El Aqsa Mosque, and its patronage goes to the King of Jordan.
Yes,
He's responsible for the upkeep of it.
yes.
He's actually supposed to be responsible for the upkeep of Mecca, Medina, and the holy shrines there, but the Saudi Arabian government has taken over that.
Mecca, Medina is under the Saudi protection and Saudi government. And believe it or not, it just happened 2 days ago that the Saudi government requested some military assistance from the Egyptian government to protect the Saudi border against ISIS.
Right.
And until this moment, it did not happen yet, but the Egyptian government studying that to see how they can cooperate with the Saudis.
Let's not forget the Egyptian government has a professional army.
Well, it's the only army in the Middle East with the Israeli army now. Other than that, the Syrian army is gone. Iraqi army is no longer exist. The Lebanese army is no longer exist because Hezbollah taking over and waiting for the signal from Iran to attack. And there is no army anywhere anymore in the Middle East except the Egyptian army.
Let me ask you a quick question and digress. Originally, I was talking to you about that cartoon, the one with the list saying "kill all the Jews." I mean, I know that's an extreme statement, but the truth of the matter is, can you see this 72-hour truce moving into a permanent resolution of the Palestinian problem?
It will happen if the Israelis start to go back to the 1967 border and allow the Palestinians to have their own state and their own government and their own hospitals, schools, something to cry on, and they start to live next to each other, and each state can cooperate with the other state.
But okay, and I appreciate that you're mentioning a comment about Palestinians, because I differentiate from the average Palestinian in the street versus the Hamas.
Correct.
Now, but I'm talking about, because right now the Gaza Strip is controlled by Hamas, and
Unfortunately,
they're in the
yes.
table at the table right now with. Okay, maybe they aren't making the list, except it's in their education system, it's in their speeches, it's in their ideologue. Kill all the Jews. Jews are evil, are monkeys. I mean, they educate. I'm talking about Hamas. I'm not talking about the Palestinians as a whole.
That's
but
correct.
with that idea that Israel cannot exist for there to be peace, I'm going back to just Hamas and Israel and the 72-hour thing. I'm not talking about the people in the street who want quiet.
Correct. I understand.
Do you honestly see this?
Hamas has to stop. Hamas has to drop their weapons and has to stop to be the puppeteer of Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood. And that will bring peace to the table. And if Mr. Kerry, as I saw in that, not a joke to me, saying, meet me halfway, so he wanted to eliminate half of Israel. I don't want anybody to be eliminated. The only people who announced the elimination of the state of Israel is the Iranians.
Isn't it, though?
And they are working on it. And unfortunately, we're still giving them slack to conduct.
Hold on, but be honest with me.
Yes.
Okay, Iran, Israel. Israel's just an inconvenience to them, because that's not really the big Satan, is it?
Well, Israel is the tail of the snake, and that statement, I took it as a quote from the blind Sheikh, Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman. He said, don't keep fighting Israel because Israel is the tail of the snake. The head of the snake is the United States. And that's when he ordered me to blow a bomb in the American army. He wanted to fight the head of the snake, and once United States die, the tail will suffocate and die as well.
And that's the same view that the Iranians have, isn't it?
And that's the same view the Iranian...
But they're taking on Israel first. They're not going for the head first.
You never know. They are, they are flexing their muscles enough to the Americans now because they got the EMP bomb and they have... had a lot of
EMP, the electromagnetic pulse bomb.
Electromagnetic pulse
What
bomb.
does that do to a country?
It will paralyze the entire country because it will fry all of the electronics. So you will have no computer, no internet, no electricity. So consequently, no water and
So
no...
you'd be thrown back to the 19th century.
It will be catastrophe if this bomb got blown up on American soil, and I think our intelligence is very fully aware of that, and hopefully that they will be on the top of it.
And if not?
If not, then Iran will be catastrophe not only for the Middle East, but for America, for Israel, for everybody.
Now, if they EMP'd Israel and then just drove over them with their tanks and their hundreds of thousands of soldiers, the Western world would probably have to come to Israel's aid because they would have no choice.
I cannot speculate on that, but all I know that Israel Iran have a lot of support from Russia. Putin have a lot of support from China, have a lot of support from North Korea. And with all of that support, this is the hater to United States of America.
So they're lined up against us.
They are using the Iranian mentality and the strategic location of Iran to accomplish their agenda.
Now, there's people that say that when Nixon went to make a relationship with the Chinese back in the 70s, he started a war. And that even though we don't see it as a war, the Chinese are at war with us.
The Chinese are at war with us. They're fighting us in a very intellectual way. Through the internet, they are raiding our corporations, they are raiding our information, and we have to fight them back. And unfortunately, they just don't want to announce that because of the trade treaty between us and them.
The trade is a very, very important thing for us.
For us and for the Chinese as well, but
they're not acting fairly, is what you're saying.
no, they are not. They are taking big advantage of us, and we have to pay attention to that. And
They're not looking for a win-win solution with us. They're looking to win.
no, they are looking to be a dominant country and to be one of the supreme power on the planet.
But they're not good examples, are they?
No, they're not. They are communist, and unfortunately, they are having big violations on human rights.
Now, I'm understanding the tunnels were designed by North Koreans, paid for by the Iranians.
That's correct.
What the heck is North Korea doing with a bunch of Islamists?
Well, we have a saying that me and my brother will fight my cousin, me and my cousin will fight the stranger. Or in American way, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And so that's why they're looking at it as opportunity to make money.
That's why the Korean looking for black market money, get aid from Russia, get aid from China, and the Chinese playing that card and helping North Korea to accomplish their dirty work against America.
So they're letting North Korea be the dirty boy while they go, hands up, I'm a sweetheart.
Here you
I'm
go.
a good guy. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's very interesting. So, anyways, you know, with the utmost loving kindness, you love America.
I do. I do. I love America since I was a child, and I'm proud to be an American.
Why?
But this is the best country on the planet. This is the country who fight for the freedom. This is the land of the free. I have the freedom to sit here today, use this platform to voice my opinion, even that will contradict some of the ideologies of people in power.
Or make our phones go down.
For me,
I don't know if the phones went down today. Did they go down today? My webpage is down. Somebody's messing with my webpage today. You can't get to my Brian Law Group webpage. It got taken down. I don't know. It's coming back up. I've got some people working on it, but it's interesting. You know, they don't really want our message getting out, you know?
I don't know about that, but I think
They're listening.
This is the country of the free. This is the land of the free, and we all immigrated from somewhere into this country because we love America and we love what America stands for.
Now, the Muslim Brotherhood does not stand for...
Oh, they don't. They just took advantage of us.
They're here, though.
They are everywhere. They have lunch in the White House.
They have lunch in the White House.
Yeah, 7 of the Muslim Brotherhood criminals who were in prison after they were smuggled from prison. 7 days later, President Morsi sent them to the White House representing him, and they had lunch in the White House.
So if these
I
suckers...
want to have lunch in the White House.
I think you're going to have to wait for another
day.
president. I think the current president, if you're in the White House, it would be because he was handing you over to the Muslim Brotherhood. You're not a friend of the Muslim Brotherhood, and they don't really like you very much.
No, they don't.
Why
They
not?
actually-
You're a very nice guy.
Well, they think that I falsified evidence and I put their spiritual leader in prison, the blind sheikh.
All you did was give them the tapes.
Exactly.
What was on these tapes?
His own
His love
words.
of America.
No, hate America, blow up the United Nations, blow up the World Trade Center.
And then he went ahead and said what he'd done blowing up before, so he's been a blowing up kind of guy for a while. He likes to blow things up.
He loves, everywhere he go, people end up dead.
Maybe we just don't understand. There's a whole side to him, lovey-dovey guy that just really is just trying to bring a better world.
That is only when he is on ABC or CNN. He loves America that time only. But once he go back into the kitchen between me and him, after I give him a pledge of allegiance, he tells me what to bomb and who to assassinate.
Now, this guy that you put in jail for 120 years by virtue of giving testimony and authenticating the tapes, this guy had killed a few times before.
He gave a fatwa to assassinate the president of Egypt, Anwar Sadat.
So he's the guy behind killing Sadat.
That's correct. That was his orders. He recruited the people who carried the operation, and he gave the fatwa that he is an infidel for signing the peace treaty with Israel, Camp David Agreement.
And let's get down to nitty-gritty. I think it was probably one of the best things that's happened in the Middle East.
Absolutely, and the Egyptians maintain this agreement so far.
Too bad it wouldn't be a little bit more open, though.
I hope things get calmed down a little bit, but America has to understand the real mentality of the Muslim Brotherhood.
They haven't come to terms with Sisi, have they?
The Muslim Brotherhood?
No, the American government that was in charge today.
Well, unfortunately, they are trying to.
They have no choice.
They are trying
They
to.
have no choice.
I am not aware of that, but all I know...
What choice do they have? Morsi's
Well,
in jail.
But unfortunately, the Egyptian, when the Americans stopped the aid was provided to the Egyptian government, they went to Russia. And Russia was, Putin was open arm, and President Sisi are invited to go to Russia. probably within a week or two maximum, he will be there. So if America will not start to understand the needs of Egyptian existence as a broker into creating peace, we're going to lose them, unfortunately.
Now, the Israelis have now started brokering their natural gas to Jordan, to Egypt.
Correct.
And Egypt's now buying natural gas from Israel, which is a change of direction because the Israelis were buying
As far
oil.
as I know, that Egypt used to export gas to,
Right, and oil.
to Israel and
Right.
oil. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So there's a whole dynamic of change in the Middle East.
Big change, and all being played by the big puppet master, Iran. It's a major plague. It's a major disease.
And who's on the other side?
The other side is the world. The entire world, between the Egyptian and the Saudis and the Jordanians, the Israelis, the Americans, you name it. That's the other side.
Are the Americans effective against the Iranians?
Not at this time. We are giving them breaks more than we should. We are giving them vacations so they can accomplish nukes.
Okay, yeah, so they get nukes. How does that scare America? Come on, we're way over here. The nukes are way over there. How does it affect me? You know, the America.
This, I understand this is America, but again, we go back to the virus, the Ebola virus. If being created that virus in the Middle East, it will come to bite us in the behind.
So the way you're looking at it is that if they get the atomic bomb, they'll become even more ruthless?
They will be. They will go challenge more the American interest, and they will conduct more the agenda of the Russian agenda and the Chinese agenda, and they will be the bully on the arena in the Middle East.
Scary.
It is scary, and I hope our administration will absorb that and try.
How can
to
they absorb it? Don't they still have the 7 Muslim brotherhoods running around the White House advising them on how to handle things?
Not anymore. Now they are in prison back where they belong because they were
Really?
broke out of prison by Hezbollah and Hamas as well.
Wow. Now there's a group, Hezbollah. Now they're not Sunni like the rest we've been talking about here today. This is a whole other organization. They're Shiite like the Iranians.
Hezbollah are Shi'is, and they are the puppet who is playing the military arm of Iran when they need it.
Do you think they're going to get to play with Israel this year?
They will start once they get the green light. They are holding. I just listened to one of the speeches for Hassan Nasrallah, and he's saying that he will support Hamas, and he will, but he's waiting for the green light to come from Iran, and Iran playing the puppets all one at the time.
With the situation being that it is, with the negotiations over the nuclear weapons that are being developed in Iran, do you see Hezbollah being useful in the near term?
Yeah, it will be. Very soon you're going to hear that Hezbollah kidnapped some soldiers, or they start shoot missiles or something, because they are being prepared for the big game by the Iranian.
And would you not say that they probably have a few tunnels under the border?
They got plenty of tunnels, and they fought through these tunnels in the previous conflict with the Israelis.
But these were mostly tunnels on the Lebanese side of the border.
That's correct.
There's a lot of conversation right now that these same type of tunnels that were developed by the Hamas under the Gaza Strip has also been developed under the northern border of Israel.
Okay, then let us open our eyes and see where the hidden hand is playing in the background in the Middle East.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of evildoers out there. And what do you think? Do you think they're here? Do you think these same people, these same evildoers are here?
Everywhere.
What do you
They
mean
are
by that they're everywhere? It sounds to me like you're saying there's a boogeyman in the corner.
I personally saw Hezbollah members in my neighborhood. And
Shocking?
it was shocking to me that when I talked to them in the beginning, they didn't know that I am Sunni, but once they know that I am Sunni, they start to backpedal from their friendship to me, and I understand they are Shi'i and I am Sunni.
But most Shiites and Sunnis in Lebanon don't have that problem, do they?
They don't have this problem, but when the time comes, they fight each other. Look at what's going on with ISIS in Iraq. Sunnis are killing Sunnis.
And Christians.
And Christians.
And Jews if they can find them.
So it's a big mess there. And if America cannot play the leadership role required from America, then it will be shame on us.
You know, the General Assembly is going to meet to discuss what transpired in the Gaza Strip. I don't see the General Assembly wanting to discuss the atrocities going on with ISIS.
Well, there is a lot to be discussed, and there is a lot to be noted to the American government, and I hope that either we go stop these evildoers, or we come to close our borders and fund our intelligence to protect the American people.
Unfortunately, that probably means some abrogations of our personal rights.
That's correct.
We're going to lose the American way because we have no choice.
Not 100%. Intelligence community has to do their job.
And do it right.
And do it right to protect the American people, and I am all for it.
Yeah, but then we get into that thing called racial profiling.
As long as I have nothing to hide, I don't mind to profile me as a Muslim or to look at me as a Middle Eastern background or whatever. Do whatever it takes to protect the streets of my home and my business.
You love America.
Do I do? Yes.
It's the greatest country on the planet of the world.
It is.
Excellent. Listen, this is the People's Advocate Hour. We generally talk about law issues. We talk about issues that affect the American people. We try to have an open discourse. If you don't like what we have to say, you're always welcome to send us emails or call us at the 888-565-1470. We're interested to hear what you have to say. That being said, my name is Joseph Bryan. I'm an attorney down here in South Florida. I'm the one that's bringing this hour to you. If you need help with debt issues or you need help with some legal issues and you want somebody that's going to sit down, listen to you, hear what you have to say, give you some constructive advice, maybe give you some strategies to deal with the issues, feel free to give us a call. Come on in for a free consultation at 954-320-6940. Our offices are conveniently located in South Broward off of Hollywood Boulevard. Be careful getting off. Matter of fact, today I got a drill bit stuck into my tire, at which point my day was messed up by me trying to fix a tire. But be careful. There's a lot of construction going on the off-ramps in Hollywood. Once again, we are here to help. We are the People's Advocate. This is a patriotic station. You're not going to find us talking about the president and calling him anything bad. We're not going to talk about impeaching him. We may talk about conversations about that, but we ourselves support the American way. The Bill of Rights is one of the fundamental rights that this country has to offer. Freedom of speech is one of the things that we want to bring to the table here. We're going to allow Imad to come back if he wants.
I would appreciate that very much, and thank you very much for inviting me and having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure for us, and I'm sure our listeners really appreciate it. Once again, this is the People's Advocate Hour, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
You have been listening to the People's Advocate Hour with Attorney Joseph Bryan. Join Attorney Joseph Bryan next week on the People's Advocate as you need to know your rights when it comes to bankruptcy or foreclosure. You can also contact our office at 954-889-7443 for a free consultation. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly